In the small village of Elmsworth, nestled between vast forests and rolling meadows, lived young Jeremy Dawson, barely 3 years old. Jeremy was not like other children. Born prematurely, he faced immense challenges from the start, the most profound being his blindness. Yet his parents, Rachel and Thomas, nurtured him with love and courage, determined to give him as fulfilling a life as they could. Jeremy, despite his condition, had a spark in him, a gentle, trusting soul, unafraid to embrace the world in his own unique way. But life has a way of testing even the purest of spirits. A quiet morning turns chaotic. It was a warm spring morning when the event that shook the village occurred. Rachel had taken Jeremy into the garden for his daily dose of fresh air and sunlight. While she chatted with a neighbor, Jeremy played in the soft grass, carefully feeling the petals of flowers and marveling at the warmth of sunlight on his skin. For a brief moment, Rachel's attention faltered. She turned to retrieve some cookies for their guest, assuming Jeremy would stay by her side, as he always did. But on this day, a curious rustling in the bushes caught the little boy's attention. Jeremy crawled toward the sound, thinking it might be one of the stray cats he often heard in their backyard. Before anyone could notice, he had wandered out of the garden, through the fence, and into the forest that bordered the village. Lost in the woods, Jeremy's tiny hands searched the ground, feeling leaves, branches, and damp earth. He called out, "Mommy," but his voice was soft, barely above a whisper. Unaware of the danger surrounding him, he ventured deeper into the forest, the thick canopy above blocking out even the slightest hint of daylight. Hours passed, and Rachel's frantic cries echoed through the village. Volunteers gathered quickly, spreading out to search the dense woods. As the sun began to set, the hope of finding Jeremy unharmed dwindled. The forest was home to steep ravines and wild animals, places that could easily endanger a blind, helpless child. The mysterious arrival. Meanwhile, Jeremy sat on a mossy patch of earth, tears streaming down his face. His voice had gone hoarse from crying for help. It was then, in the near silence of the approaching dusk, that a soft growl broke through his sobs. Jeremy froze, clutching his small hands together. He couldn't see the source of the sound but could feel its presence. Was it a predator? The growling stopped, replaced by something surprising, a gentle whine. Jeremy hesitated, then stretched out his hand cautiously. Warm fur brushed against his fingers. A stray dog, lean with tangled fur, stood before him. Its golden eyes seemed to pierce the darkness, as though it understood the boy's plight. An unlikely friendship. The dog nudged Jeremy's hand gently as if reassuring him. For a moment, Jeremy stopped crying. Instinctively, he wrapped his arms around the creature's neck, clinging to it in an embrace. "Doggy," he murmured, his voice trembling. "Help me." The dog barked once, then tugged at the sleeve of Jeremy's shirt. Though the boy could not see, he could feel the urgency in the animal's movements. Holding on to the dog's scruffy fur, Jeremy allowed himself to be guided. The dog moved slowly, ensuring Jeremy could keep up. Through brambles and uneven terrain, the stray led the blind boy away from the deeper parts of the forest. Each bark seemed to signal, "This way," and every wag of its tail gave reassurance that Jeremy wasn't alone. A miracle rescue. Back at the village, despair had begun to sink in. Nightfall was moments away, and the search parties had found no sign of Jeremy. Rachel's cries grew desperate as Thomas tried to comfort her. Suddenly, a volunteer shouted, "Listen!" The group fell silent, straining their ears. Faint barking echoed from the forest. It was rhythmic, purposeful, as though guiding someone. Hope ignited, and the volunteers ran toward the sound. As they neared, their flashlights revealed the heart-stopping sight. Jeremy, clinging to the back of a scruffy stray dog, was being led toward them. Rachel let out a sob and sprinted toward her son, scooping him up and holding him tightly. "Oh, my baby!" she cried. Jeremy, exhausted but unharmed, smiled faintly. "Doggy helped me, Mommy," he whispered. The true hero. The stray dog stood a few feet away, watching the emotional reunion. Villagers tried to approach it, but the dog backed away nervously, as if it didn't want recognition or reward. "Wait," Rachel called out, holding Jeremy in her arms. She crouched down, extending her hand toward the dog. Slowly, cautiously, it stepped closer. The villagers watched in awe as the once wary animal allowed Rachel to pet it. Its tail wagged gently, and for the first time its expression seemed calm. Rachel decided then and there to adopt the dog, whom Jeremy affectionately named Shadow, symbolizing the protector who appeared in his darkest hour. A village transformed. Word of the incident spread quickly, and Shadow became a local hero. Donations poured in to ensure the stray received medical care and proper food. Shadow, who had once been a lonely wanderer, now had a forever home with the Dawson family. Jeremy and Shadow became inseparable. The bond they shared went beyond words, one built on trust, love, and a miraculous connection born in the face of adversity. Jeremy's parents also took the incident as a lesson, ensuring the village prioritized safety measures to protect its youngest residents. The moral of the story: the tale of the blind boy and the stray dog reminds us that even the most unlikely individuals or creatures can rise to extraordinary occasions when driven by compassion and instinct. Shadow, a neglected stray, became a hero because of his innate kindness and loyalty. The story teaches us that help can come from unexpected places when least expected. Trust and love transcend barriers, forging bonds in the most challenging times. Every life, whether human or animal, has the potential to make a difference in the world. In the end, the story of Jeremy and Shadow stands as a poignant reminder of the power of hope, courage, and unconditional love.